Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a fantastic, phenomenal weekend. Hard not to have a great Monday here, starting off good 5% pump from Bitcoin. Everything's doing very, very well, minus SUI. We'll cover that here next, obviously, so you can kind of get perspective there. But the truth is, Bitcoin is on a tear, probably likely to continue a little bit further before it pulls back, but we are getting closer to the top. I'll explain why, because our long delta for liquidation is extremely high. We're coming up to a resistance range too, so just some kind of reasons to consider maybe securing some profits, but not necessarily taking a short, okay? And what I mean by that is just quite simple. Shorts are more risky, and we don't really know if the top's in just yet, so we'll double check that. We'll clean up the charts here as well, and what I want to do is quickly give a congrats to our community here. We took a short on Bitcoin, coincidentally, at about 21%. Funny thing is, we hit our profit target within about $20 on Bitcoin, so we hit that. 62,050 is what our take profit target was. Price turned around obviously since then with a lot of unusual buying activity in the market, and we can see Near Protocol and Solana as our two heavy long profit targets there from the weekend. We took those trades on Saturday. So I'll dive into those here in a little bit, of course, as well, but let's go ahead and jump into the backend data. Let's refresh the charts, kind of get an idea of what's going on here with liquidation and go from there. So when we look at liquidation, the important thing to recognize is, well, heavy concentrations that are either have been swept or soon to be swept. And if we look at the more local here, this is the last seven days, we can see pretty much anybody who's taken a short in the last 7 days, minus the late shorts at 67,000, are effectively in the red and or stopped out. Okay, so again, a lot of shorts got destroyed. We take a look here, 67,000 is right around that top range of the new areas of liquidation. And again, these are like probably high to medium shorts, right in that range of about 67,000. Obviously you got low leverage shorts upwards about 68, 69K. Those are pretty safe, I feel, for the moment, but we never truly know if that could happen. However, Bitcoin is getting into its resistance range, so I totally see why people are shorting with their stop loss and or liquidation levels in that area. Keep in mind, if we look here at the macro, rather, this is where things get a little dangerous for anyone trying to short right now. Again, 66,600 upwards of 66,700. There's about 30 billion in that little $300 variance. So again, between here and 67,000, there's a potential really, really bad day for shorts. Keep in mind the price could totally turn around perfectly fine. I get the reason for taking a short right now because we're pretty maxed out in a lot of ways. But on the same accord, you don't just short to short because it's overextended. That's just not how you do it. Crypto, if anything, has proven that that is not a reliable strategy. So let's take a look here. You can see our delta, and this is what I was talking about with my community earlier today too, just before I got into the video here, is just when this delta gets really high, usually you're going to start to see capitulation. Now keep in mind, this is a 5-day look back here for liquidation levels, right? So we can see a lot of longs here entering the market as the price goes up, 62, 63, 64, 65,000. A lot of open positions still in the green, okay? So the reason why this is relevant is we have too many people taking longs. Market makers will see that and they'll secure profits. They'll sell a big old bag of Bitcoin, dump the price essentially. Sometimes it doesn't work out because too many people are buying and the price can't go lower, but generally speaking, that's something we want to be mindful of, okay? Last time we had a delta of about 8 to 9 billion with the price coming down low, the price recovered really quick, really fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have trouble crossing this level, we see the price pull back to sweep that area. But I'm still more so along the lines of the price is more likely to go up than down, so I would be very, very careful taking short positions at this moment. Until we get that shift in momentum, there's really no reason to consider a short. We can see open interest here for the last week is roughly at about that 62.5 mark, which is roughly a key support range for us. That's essentially what we shorted from 63.4 down to about 62,050, and the price came down to 62,020 or something really, really close there. So got in, got out, all good. But at this point here, what we want to look at is, if it's worth taking a long at this point. Me personally, a long for Bitcoin right now doesn't make a ton of sense. Neither does a short with all this volume. You do not short into this kind of volume. I mean, this is just monumental volume. We haven't seen this in quite some time, and it's very strong to see this on a Monday morning. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a good old macro analysis here. We'll jump into a slightly different chart here. This is an older chart. Bitstamp, I highly recommend Bitstamp as a good one for more macro because you have data all the way back down to like 2011. anyways, the reason why that's relevant is because you go to larger time frames, you can see better moving averages. So let's go with the monthly and kind of recognize where we're at here. The local fair value gap, I wouldn't say it's local, but ever since we've been in the range of, since March roughly, we can see that, most of the fair value from that initial gap has been satisfied. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. That is said and done. Doesn't mean we can't still pull back, but it doesn't really give us any incentive to see the price to pull back for that reason. And if I recall correctly, there is a CME gap in the 50 some odd thousand range, but it's a really small one, and it's so far away that it doesn't really matter. So to all those people who kind of think about that or know about that, proximity matters. So if we're getting closer to that low 55K range, then it's a different story altogether. But we're like 10K up on that. There's really no reason to worry about that. Anyways, that's a conversation for another day. We can look at our CME gaps here soon. But if we do take a peek here at the monthly, we can recognize a lot of positivity here. We got a nice little pivot. While it's not like a specific key area, we're still above 50, below 70. That's that sweet spot for continuation. And generally speaking, we can see everything is still moving strong. While we're losing momentum to the upside, that's pretty standard for a descending broadening wedge that we're seeing here. It's common and nothing really to read into. So the key takeaway here on the monthly is that we're maintaining above the moving averages. Those are probably the more important things to recognize, and I think that that's super relevant here. And just keep in mind, we want to pay attention to this descending trend line, because folks were asking in my community, hey, what's the deal with this, with the price breaking out right now? Are we just we're gonna see it keep going? In all reality, probably. We're right here at this 0.618 fib level. We close above that here on the weekly. We're going to be in pretty good shape. We still have yet to close soundly above that 65K range. I mean, granted, we did here previously, but it instantly dropped on a Monday. It really wasn't a great situation for us. So ideally, in a perfect world, we maintain 65K this week to close above that 0.618 fib level. We have a solid chance of the price breaking out. There's some patterns we could talk about here, but the more important thing I think is just this descending trend, recognizing that we've tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Potentially this will be the 6th attempt to break through that descending trend. Now again, descending trends are just kind of like areas of resistance. It doesn't mean that the whole entire market's going to just collapse if we hit that level and reject, but truth is, getting above that's going to be very helpful. We are, however, above the 20-day SMA, maintaining above the 50, which is respecting this ascending type of trend. As you can kind of see, we got a nice little ascending trend line. And overall, this is a very, very beneficial situation. We can also see here as well, too, if we look at the weekly, we have somewhat of a divergence here, or bullish convergence, however you want to put it. The wording always evades me, but the general consensus here is that RSI is no longer establishing lower highs. And that's a good sign too, because it correlates here with the price action. While we haven't established a higher high yet, we're at parallel highs with the local high. So roughly a month ago when we tried to get into this 65K range, we rejected. Right now, so far, we're holding that level. And the likelihood of maintaining that is higher because, again, we had this nice little doji candle last week. Okay? And doji candles usually signal reversal, which we're seeing here so far. So there's a lot of positivity here. Obviously, we could search and search and search for some disadvantageous signs, but generally speaking, there's mostly positive. Okay. The last little thing here that's also very positive is this bull flag type of pattern I was able to identify or just kind of notify our community on roughly last week sometime. In fact, I think one of my admins might have brought it to our attention first. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, by the way. But when we look here, we can see we got an ascending type of trend here where the price comes up and it rejects off a specific level, comes down to bounce, keeps retrying that descending trend, and it broke pretty soundly right here. Okay. Now, if we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see pretty much a bull pennant pattern there too. Again, patterns are not exactly the reason to take a trade, but when you see these kind of things happening, a lot of times it can give you more confidence taking a long or a short in that direction. Okay. So we take a look here, of course, at the daily time frame. Let's just go ahead and go through a rudimentary analysis, kind of see what's going on. Now that we understand the macro is still mostly bullish and or beneficial, we can see here RSI looking pretty strong in the overall sense. Back up over 50. We have been for a few days, but generally speaking, we maintain that over the weekend and here again on Monday. We got money flow index increasing. MACD is converging. This is a very, very, very solid sign, especially with other confirming factors. We can also confirm too, we're above every single moving average. If you look here closely, you can see the 20, 200, the 50, the 100, everything is below the price, but right here we kind of compress between both moving averages and inevitably explode to the upside. Okay. Now again, that's not a guarantee. Truth is, this didn't just happen on a whim. I'm sure there's some market makers that are really, really pushing the price right now for a specific reason. But the truth is, you do not short into volume like this. Okay, high volume, I don't care if there's like overextension and fair value gaps and RSI's at 90 or something. The truth is you want to just kind of wait for it to cool off before you decide to take a trade. In situations like this, me personally, I don't like buying the top or shorting the top. I know it sounds crazy, but there's no reason to do either at this point because the price action is it's kind of in relatively recent price discovery, right? We broke free from a recent threshold at 64.4. Now that we're here, we're still kind of defining that range. The truth is, we look back here, there's a pretty solid resistance range right there on the 4-hour time frame at 66,000 even. So there's a solid chance we're going to see that hold as a resistance for us. But once again, we got to give it a chance to break. Speaking of which, just to clarify, remember we talked about this here, 66,600. Wouldn't be surprised if we see one last wick up to 67K before the price pulls back. So again, I would, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, if I was, I would bet that price is going to come up to 67K, maybe reject off that level, and then potentially consolidate here at about 66 before the next leg up. That's a possibility. Either way, most of these moving averages, if not all of them, are telling us we're in good shape. We're over 70 on the RSI now too, and if you're kind of a follower of the videos or my videos, my channel, whatever you want to call it, you'll know that breaking above 70 on the RSI is generally a very, very favorable sign, and you don't want to consider selling until the price comes back down. So with us breaking through that threshold, we probably have another 1, 2, maybe 3 days worth of continuation, or just maintain this range before it pulls back. On average, it's like a 24 to 48 hour period that you stay above that level, or below too. You can see it on sell-offs as well. I won't bother to go into that right now, but the truth is that's a very, very positive sign, and everything else is confirming bullish continuation. Hourly time frame is going to reflect this as well. There's no reason to consider shorting this coin. There is a fair value gap here as low as about 62,600, because again, we had this pretty significant uptrend. So this little range here between 62.6 upwards of 63.6, that could potentially get filled at some point. I don't think it's probable at this level right now. With so much volume that it would make no sense. Just know that that does exist and that's a possibility, but it is not even close to a good reason to consider a short. Okay, so I hope you kind of got the gist of what's going on here. It's pretty good. While the price action can and will probably still pull back, we got this nice, key fib level here at 0.618. This is more so the local fib level at about, again, 64.5 is that important level that we want to close above. Because what that would do for us if the price does pull back, that would establish basically a new support level based off previous resistance. Okay, so that and the reaffirming of that 0.618, that golden pocket, is also very beneficial. When you break through that threshold, the likelihood of continuation is higher. So we've pretty much extracted that there's a majority of bullish signs here. And even though the price action can shift at any given time, like we could literally see the price dump 5% tomorrow, for right now, Bitcoin is here to stay, okay? And I think it makes a lot more sense for it to continue higher. The last thing I would kind of recommend understanding too is that we are still underneath some key level resistances, that 67K range, that descending trend line. We've got, we've got a lot of reasons to be careful right now, okay? So try not to be a moon boy or to, essentially just say everything's going as a rocket ship or, rocket emoji, all that garbage, because the truth is this is fantastic, but it's not a guarantee. There's never a guarantee. And until we break that descending trend line, I'm not fully convinced this is here to stay, but it's still a very, very good start, okay? So again, just be cautious and careful. Try not to fall into the traps, so to speak, because this literally could be a trap for the market makers. But it doesn't really feel like one as compared to previous ones because a lot of them were low volume pumps. In this case here, we got a lot of volume to back it up, and you really don't want to try to bet against that. All right, folks, I'll go and post our playout chart in our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord as per usual. Looks a little something like this. I kind of gave people a heads up this morning. Hey, we got that 64K range swept. 65K is the next level. And what do you know? It already happened. So cool. Check it out. Anyways, links down below for that. Hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.